All right, let's go to Margaret in Arlington. What's up, Margaret?
Hi, how are you? I'm sorry to hear about James.
I know, what a quitter, right? But it's okay. That's okay. We're doing good without him.
People got a great team.
That's right. We got two brilliant women running the show now, so that's awesome. What's up?
First, thank you for taking my call.
You bet.
I was hoping that you could give me some advice on how to basically let go of the anger and resentment that I feel towards my sister so that I can better help her and support her through her eating disorder and recovery.
Oh, man, that's tough. How old is she?
Mm-hmm.
How old are y'all?
Well, we're twins, and we're 33.
Good. Well, lead with that, Margaret. Lead with that. All right, so 33 twins.
Mm-hmm.
This is extra personal.
So we're pretty close.
Tell me about your sister.
So we're 33. She was first diagnosed with anorexia when we were 14.
Ooh. Have you ever wrestled with disordered eating?
No, not me personally.
Have you ever wrestled with any sort of anxiety?
Yeah. I had some bad postpartum anxiety and depression a couple of years ago when I had my daughter.
Okay. What about when you were young?
I'm sorry?
What about when you were young?
When I was young, no.
So
but it does run in my family. There's depression in my family. My dad is bipolar.
Okay.
So there is some family history with mental illness there.
But 14, 15, 16, like your childhood, your teenage years, you walked alongside your sister while she was really struggling, but you didn't have similar struggles just somewhere else?
Correct.
Okay. Wow. Okay. All right. Go ahead.
So she's 14. We were 14 when she was first diagnosed. It was very severe. For several years, she was in and out of hospitals and treatment centers. And then I would say in her 20s, she got to a good place where she was coping with it and managing it, living a full, productive life. We were all kind of breathed easy for a while. And then a couple of years ago, right around the time that COVID hit, she quit her job to stay at home with her daughter, so to be a stay-at-home mom. And then she started dabbling again in diets and workout programs. And at first it was just, I want to lose the baby weight. But it was only a matter of a couple of months maybe before she was full on spiraling again.
Yeah.
And she's back now basically where we were where she was when we were 14, and extremely severe case. She's been in 2 treatment programs in the last 2 years, inpatient treatment programs. The first one, she checked herself out early, AMA, because she just didn't want to be there anymore.
Right.
And then the second time, she was actually kicked out early because she wasn't following the rules of the program.
Okay.
And I guess, on top of the stress and the worry and the concern that I have for her, I just struggle a lot with anger towards these choices that she's making. And I feel like this time is different. I know that she can get better and move on because I've seen her do it before, but this time feels different. It feels like she's giving up.
Yeah.
And she's told me that when she feels like her family is upset with her or angry with her, that she just shuts down and doesn't want to fight it anymore. So, but the reality is I am angry.
Yeah.
It's hard not to watch her. I hear you say a lot that behavior is a language.
Yeah.
Behavior is a language. And her behavior says that she just doesn't want to be here anymore, that she doesn't want to live, and that she's slowly killing herself and making us all watch it. And it's maddening.
Yeah. Yeah. Your anger is justified. It's okay.
Mm-hmm.
Don't beat yourself up and feel guilty about being.
I feel horrible.
Don't.
I feel horrible for being mad because I know it's I get it. It's a serious mental illness, and it's not like she can just stop,
right,
or change.
Yeah, and normally you've heard me say I'm much more context specific when it comes to my ADHD won't let me. Nope, that's not an excuse. You got to figure it out, right? But when it comes to this, this, but I hear generally that it's the most, or if the top 1 or 2 most lethal mental health issues in the world. And most people don't know that anorexia kills more people than depression, right? It's a scary thing. And it's especially scary watching somebody you love who also is the mother of your niece. Or does she have one kid, 2 kids?
She has 2. She has 2 now.
Jeez. Slowly suffocate themselves. Yeah. Man, I'm so sorry. So don't feel guilty about being upset. That's okay. You'd be a weirdo if you weren't mad. Okay? There's a difference between anger and rage, right? And there's here's the way I would explain it. If my son, I may have explained this on the show before. If my son gets up in the middle of the night and he's sick, and he comes into my room and says, "Daddy, I don't feel good," and I'm like, "Well, what do you want? Well, how can I help?" And then he barfs all over my bed. I can be mad that I'm covered in barf. I can't be mad at my little boy for coming to the one place he knows he feels safe when he doesn't feel good, right? I can be frustrated. And I can tell him, "Don't ever barf on my bed again. Do that somewhere else." But you see what I'm saying? So you're like being mad at this situation that your sister, who, let's be honest, are y'all identical twins?
No, we're not identical.
Okay, fraternal twins then?
Yeah.
Okay. You're watching a part of yourself out there walking around, right?
Yeah.
That's got to be tough. Make peace with the tough, okay? Here's the back end. Like, what do you do now? What do you want to do now? What is your family talking about doing? What are y'all thinking about doing?
Well, we don't really know. She is resisting going back into an inpatient program. She doesn't want to do it again. So she's kind of fighting that. But everybody, her entire team, her doctors, her therapists, everyone is telling her, if you don't get this help, if you don't change these behaviors, you will die.
Right.
And
has she ever been involuntarily committed?
No, not yet anyway.
Okay.
But we're looking at that as a very real possibility.
Okay. That's a huge deal. So people listening, like, why can't you just make her go? It's a huge deal to take away somebody's civil rights. That somebody else comes in and says you're crazy. That's been abused throughout history. And so that's usually a last resort when somebody's barely hanging on. Another option is somebody's got to step in and keep those kids safe. How are those kids?
I don't know. I mean, it's my biggest concern. I think, they're doing well. They have a great, their dad is amazing.
Yeah.
And he's doing everything he can.
Okay.
The thing that makes it also difficult is they live on the other side of the country from me. So it's not like I can just pop over and check in on them or take them or whatever. My parents have gone out there and helped out and taken them at certain times just to help. And we do what we can, but I also am extremely worried about how this is going to affect them.
It'll affect them profoundly. Yeah. No, it'll be a huge deal. And yeah, that's going to be a long-term ripple through the family.
Yeah.
Ultimately,
and they're never going to understand.
No. Yeah, never. I can think of few harder situations than what you're in right now. And I wish I could tell you, here, just do these 3 things, and I can't. You've got somebody that you love and you care about, and is very closer to you than probably your husband, probably her husband is closer. Like y'all are, right? Y'all shared a womb, right? Y'all are in it.
Yeah.
Watching her be so sick that she's tired and she's slowly checking out.
Yeah.
And I can think a few things harder than that. What I would tell you is, in addition to the anorexia, my guess is you've reached your limit on the lying and the secrets and just talking to you like you're stupid. You know what I mean? If you spent time around people with disordered eating, they tell you things that are so blatantly not true that it feels like they're insulting you, that you're stupid, right? And it just gets
Yeah.
exhausting to be around. Like, no. Yesterday, I had like 5 pieces of pizza, and 100% you didn't, right? Just the stories get more outlandish. And sometimes it's less watching the person be sick, and it's more just quit lying or weird secrets or making, right? Just all of it turns into this. It's hard to be around.
Yeah.
So know this. She can be very, very sick and still make moves. I hate to call it manipulation because I know it's a function of the illness. But lobbing grenades, like when you're mad at me, it makes me just want to die. That's not fair. Don't own that. Okay, that's nonsense. That's manipulative, and it's not. I wouldn't play that game. The moment you say, "Cool, I'm all in," you look, things are great. I'm just. That's you being disingenuous, right? That's not. That's not cool. I would be open and honest about how you feel. And don't let her perfectionism and blame and shame be cast on you. And at the same time, this is going to be probably the hardest thing you ever have to do. I would reach out to her, and if you can, visit in person. And let her know, I'm not going to try to fix you. I can't sit here and watch you die, but I love you.
I actually do have a trip planned out to go see her.
Okay.
And so that's also partly why I was calling, because I don't know what to say when I do see her.
Yeah.
I know my family wants me to, I guess, kind of convince her to go back into treatment.
Yeah.
But I know if I do that or try, I know she's just going to shut down.
Absolutely. And I've got people close to me that have struggled with disordered eating, and you're exactly right. Most people, I'm very direct with people I love who are hurting. I'm direct with everybody who's hurting and about what they need to do to get on a path of healing. And this one is hard because the moment you launch into it, they shut down.
Yeah.
They shut off, right? And that's what I would tell you. Sitting down with her, she doesn't need to know that she's sick. She knows. What she really needs is you to hold her hand and say, I love you. It's really hard for me to watch you die, but I love you. And I'll do what I can to take care of your kids, but I love you. And that's the only way I've found personally. I don't have any literature on this. This is just me sitting with people. The only way to get a crack in the door, to get some light in there, is that person's not trying to fix me. They're not trying to because people with disordered eating have a game plan for that. They don't have a game plan for unconditional love and skin-to-skin contact. Right? And you have to make space. An analogy just came to my head, and what I'm going to tell you is going to be very hard to hear. Is that okay?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Yeah, what I'm going to tell you is real hard to hear, okay? My dad was a hostage negotiator for the SWAT team in Houston. And what that meant was when somebody was going to jump off of a building and they had gone out on the ledge and they were hanging on barely, they would call my dad. They'd call the team in, but my dad would be one of the guys that would go up and sit with that person and talk to him until they came down, all right? And he told me that he would often go up there and within just a minute or two, he knew if that person was going to jump or not. And almost always they didn't want to jump. But he said his concern would almost invariably move towards he thought they were going to fall. They were going to get tired and slip. They were going to get exhausted and relax their grip a little bit, and they were going to fall off, right? Yeah. And he said, whenever you walk into those situations, when people are at this stage of illness, at this stage of hurt, at this stage of pain, he said you had to make sure you had already asked yourself, am I going to watch when they jump? Or am I going to listen when they hit? Or am I going to cover my ears and duck down? And here's why I'm telling you that. That lesson has been very important for me throughout my life working in these moments, because you have to come up with your line, right? Yeah. Am I going to watch this thing happen in a slow motion train wreck? Or am I going to call every psychiatric facility and try to do call the police? I'm going to try to do an involuntary. I'm going to burn every bridge I have to keep my sister alive. And also, am I going to draw a boundary and say, I'll call you every day, I'll write you every day, but I cannot watch the end of this thing happen like that. That's a boundary you have to draw for yourself. Okay. I'm somebody who will go to the ends of the earth, but I'm also a realist too. And that's a hard moment for you, but I want you and the people in your community to be prepared for it. If she does take her life, if she does choose, I am not getting help, that A, you can sleep knowing I did what was right for us, and B, that's not your fault. And having some space there before you enter into these conversations is really important. And it sounds, this is a call that I don't normally have, right? It sounds like I'm kind of a defeatist. I just have been with too many people in your sister's situation, and it can be very bleak.
Yeah.
It can be very bleak. I can also say this, never lost one. Not that I've never had somebody pass away. I've had people turn the corner, but only through relationship and treatment, intense treatment. Okay. Have you told her, like, I don't want you to die? Have you said those words?
Yeah, I have.
How does she hear that?
She just gets really quiet, and she'll say, I don't want to die either. Or at least that's what she used to say.
Yeah.
And she said in the past, I want to be here for my kids. I don't want to leave them. But like I said, it's different now. It definitely feels like she's given up, and she's saying things like, well, my eating disorder just wants me dead. So I feel like that's what's going to happen.
So I think that if she says that, that's fair. Yeah. Cool. I think you're right. Yeah. I think it does want you dead. She needs to want to be alive. And you've heard the old story about sobriety. Like, you can't get clean for your kids. You can't get clean for your spouse. You got to get clean for you. You have to decide, I want a different life. And most people decide they want a different life. They get to a place where they don't want to hurt anymore, or they get to a place where somebody's holding their hand and they realize they're not alone. And usually it's a combination of the two. Okay. But I think if I'm in your situation, I would sit down and say, I'm not here to fix you. I'm here to tell you I love you. Okay. You're smart. You know all the treatment plans. You know all the stuff. I love you. I cannot sit here and just watch you die. And you can let her know. I'm going to call everybody I know. I'm going to do everything I can legally and otherwise to force you into treatment, because I don't want to watch you die. But I also want you to know I'm not going to try to fix you. I can't do that. Mm-hmm. Right? So it's a both and. Okay. And have that hard conversation with yourself, with your family, with her husband, with whoever you need to have it, and go all in and have some space, right? Mm-hmm. Or maybe the better way to say it is run into the building that's on fire, but be connected to the oxygen hose outside. Right? Yeah. Yeah. And that means you got to keep yourself well during this whole thing, right? You got to make sure you've got someone you're talking to, or a couple of people you're talking to, that you're eating, that you're exercising, that you're walking around, that you're sleeping when you can, that you're taking care of yourself so that you can repel into this mess. For those of you watching this, as much as anybody, I'm all about discipline. I'm all about just do it. I don't care what you feel. Just go. I don't feel like work out anyway. That's me. That's who I am. Disordered eating is something else. It's a nightmare. And there's some compelling evidence out there that it's one of the few that is truly genetic, right? And it's got a history throughout time. It's not just because social media that exacerbates it, but it's been with us for a long time. It is a nightmare. And so just saying, you just it doesn't work with anorexia. Relationship and true desire to change, true relentless desire to be alive and to be whole. That's what helps people in those moments. And that can only happen with a team of professionals. So if you are struggling with anorexia, you're worth a better life. You're worth a better life. You're worth laughing, and you're worth peace. And if you love somebody who's struggling with anorexia, call everybody. Call everybody. Get the resources you need. And when you call everybody, also let that person know, I can't fix you, only you can. But I love you, and I'll be here with you. I'll be here with you.